Hello again. We're coming to you today from a freshly painted entrance to New Hope Church. Unless you are very, very observant, you may not have realized all of the innovations, all of the things that we did during the shutdown. One of those was to paint this entryway, make it a little bit more presentable for visitors and for us as we take our children downstairs to Kids Kingdom. Thank you, Jimmy Parker. So this week we continue our study of the book of Ephesians. And in the book of Ephesians, we're up to chapter 1, verse 15. This is where Paul starts his prayer. Now, every letter that Paul writes includes a prayer at the very start, with the exception of the book of Galatians, where Paul doesn't have much to be thankful for. In that prayer, it always starts, I thank my God. So in Ephesians chapter 1, verse 15, ever since I first heard of your strong faith in the Lord Jesus, your love for God's people everywhere, I have not stopped thanking God for you. I pray for you constantly. And he goes on. Tomorrow we're going to talk more about the actual content and what it is that Paul is thanking God for when he thinks about the Ephesians. But today, I just want to stop and think about that whole idea of praying and thanking God for someone. Now, in Ephesians, as in the rest of Paul's letters, the content of the prayer is actually reflected in the letter. Paul has a very specific purpose in mind when he writes the Ephesians, and that purpose is in his mind when he begins to pray to God. Here he mentions their faith. Ephesians chapter 2, verses 1 to 10. He talks about their faith in God. Then he talks about their love for each other. Chapter 2, verse 11 to the end of chapter 3, he talks about the love that the Ephesians have between Jew and Gentile in the church. And then he asks that God would give them insight and growth. In chapter 4, 5, and 6 deal with new insights and spiritual growth. So you see how Paul reflects that? Now, this is important, I believe, because we begin to see a little bit of Paul's prayer life and what he does. When Paul prays, he doesn't just pray generically, Lord bless the Ephesians. He has specific ideas in mind for them. And as he prays for them, he takes those ideas, he presents them to the Lord and says, Lord, bless this that I'm about to do. In essence, Paul here is saying, Lord, I'm going to remind them of their faith. I'm going to remind them of their love. And I'm going to give them some new insights into your word. So, Lord, thank you for their faith. Thank you for their love. Give them insight as I share with them. Today, as you get ready to go about your daily business, take those things that you will be doing, as trivial as you think it might be, present them to the Lord and say, Lord, these may be trivial, but in your hands they can become an incredible blessing. Take these things, Lord, and use them to bless me and those around me. I encourage you to do that right now as we wrap up this devotional. See you tomorrow.